6Three podcast. Your home for the most in-depth analysis on all things sports, entertainment, and basically anything else you can come up with. Where we have some of the hottest takes, some of the craziest takes, but there we go, some of the dumbest takes, and where we believe that opinions are like. And now, to your hosts, Joel, Isaiah, and RJ.
And Ben. I have to redo that intro. Welcome to the 6Three podcast, July 15, 2020, episode 27, with your hosts and co-hosts, Joel, Isaiah, and Ben. Today is the final draft ranking in the NFL positions. We are doing the most important one, probably the most ridiculous one, probably the one we're going to be the most off on, and it's special teams. So we'll see what happens with this one. But, Ben, you get first overall pick, Isaiah 2, and I'll go 3.
All right, so we're getting right into it. Number 1, I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I really like Mecole Hardman, so I think he's pretty much a game-breaking return guy. I think he's going to have a better season than he had this year. So that'll be pretty cool to see. And as you guys will find out, I kind of went by how well these teams did in fantasy last year. So we'll see how that goes compared to everybody else's.
Yeah, so the knock on me with them was obviously Tyler Newsome, their punter. But Harrison Butker and Mecole Hardman.
Yeah.
It's the hard thing is you're trying to rank this first by kicker. I think kicker's got to be the priority. Mm-hmm. Maybe punter and then their net average along with their yards per punt. That kind of you got to find a mesh in between that. And kick return is obviously effective, but we see less kick returns because of the way the NFL is trying to safely deal with them. Pretty much making them kick closer to the end zone, more often starting at the 25-yard line. Less reason to return. So returners aren't as common unless it's a punt return situation typically.
Yep.
Does Tyreek Hill still do their punt returning?
Yes.
Yeah.
Occasionally. He's not always back there.
I'd say they're trying to move in with Mecole Hardman because they want Tyreek Hill to be more effective full-time as a receiver.
Yeah. If on our list we had punt returners, I would have them probably number 1. I had them at 5. But with Tyreek Hill back there too, same thing. I weighed kicker heavily, and then I didn't really weigh returner unless it was someone special like Hardman.
Yeah.
Like, if it's just a name, I don't care. That doesn't mean anything to me. But my number 1 on my list, and where we'll go with number 2, not maybe that outstanding in the return category, but they have probably the best punter and one of the top 3 kickers in the league, the New Orleans Saints. Will Lutz has just been holding it down for forever. Or not forever, but just as long as he's been around, he's been a stud. And then Thomas Morstead, like I said, probably the best punter in the league. He's getting up there in age, but classy guy. He was one of the guys after the Minneapolis Miracle where he came back on the field to do that stupid extra point that they made them do. He was like the first one back out there. He just seems like a stand-up guy, but one of the best punters in the league, probably number 1.
Yeah, that was the reason I had them at number 2. Thomas Morstead is probably the best punter in the league, and Will Lutz is definitely one of the top kickers. So no messing there. My number 1 is still here, though, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. Justin Tucker is probably the best kicker in the league. And then I'm having Sam Koch as a punter who's probably a top 5 punter. That to me, that rings true for number 1 for me. And then DeAnthony Thomas, everyone remembers him, the Black Mamba from Oregon back in college days. So an exciting return man there as well. I'm going to go with them at 3.
Yeah, Ravens is number 2 for me. I went back and forth with them at number 1, but I don't think you can go wrong.
I like it. All right. We are going to go with I'm going to go with the Texans here. Brian Anger, Kaimi Fairburn, Jonathan Weeks, and DeAndre Carter. I think Fairburn's pretty awesome. So I'm going with them at number 4. No big name returners there. So obviously nothing special there, but I think Fairburn kind of weights that one up. little bit.
Fairburn gets drafted as a kicker in every fantasy league for like the last 3 or 4 years. He's definitely one of the more reliable kickers out there, so it's a good pick.
Well, and especially with, I know a couple years ago at least, the Texans had, and last year, but 2 years ago especially, they had such a problem in the red zone that he just used to kick so many field goals.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, at number 5, we're going to go with my number 3 team. This is easily the highest they have been on any ranking. Their statistics may be a little boosted, at least in the kicking department, because of where they play 8 games a year, but I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
I love Brandon McManus. I think he's got a boot. I mean, like I said, he's in the altitude every 8 weeks out of the 16. But Sam Martin's a great punter too. And then, yeah, I Deontay Spencer, don't know the name much, but it sounds like he's fast. So
Deontay Spencer's the name of a fast person for sure.
I always used to go with the when I was drafting fantasy kickers. I always just used to go with whoever the Broncos kicker was because I knew they'd make a lot of 50-yarders. So,
well, like they used to have Matt Prater, went to Brandon McManus. I mean, they've been pretty successful.
Yeah, they've been pretty solid.
Good kickers in any arena, but it definitely does help where they kick.
Right.
So my number 6 here is going to be the Dallas Cowboys. Chris Jones is a good punter, and then they have Legatron, Greg Zuerlein.
Yeah.
LP Lauer DeSuer is one of the best long snappers, if that's a real stat you can possibly find. Jordan Lewis, a little bit of Michigan homer picking me, but he was a good returner on him and Jabril Peppers back in the Michigan days too. I remember Greg Zuerlein with the Rams. I think in every other year where it was Zuerlein and Johnny Hecker at those positions, that's easily the number 1 special teams I think on most lists when you have Zuerlein and Hecker, because Hecker to me is the best punter. We'll see where they fall on this one, but
well, and didn't they just have the Pro Bowl pick for the returner with Pharaoh Cooper? Was it 2 years ago maybe?
He is a special teamer. Yeah, he was good.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, number 7.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with the 49ers.
Dude, my top 7 is
Wisnowski, Robbie Gould, Kyle Nelson, Richie James. Robbie Gould, classic, been around a while. I know a lot of Bears fans that
Want him back.
Yeah, wish he never left for a variety of reasons.
There wouldn't be so many double doinks, that's for sure.
Wouldn't be as many double doinks. So, yeah.
Yep, it's a good pick.
All right, well, I think there were a couple mixed around, but we have my top 7 gone already.
That's impressive. Mine is all over the place still.
I'm
gonna go with my number 8. I switched them around with a team close by, but I'm gonna go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I just really like Chris Boswell. I think he's just one of the top kickers in the league. Jordan Berry, it didn't look like he looked like he was a decent punter. Don't know about the return guys though.
Yep, that's good. I had him at 6 on my list.
I'm at 10, so it's not bad.
Yeah.
I still have my 4 and 5 on my list, though.
Ooh, let it be my number 9.
My number 9, I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers. Probably also the highest they've been on any list. But Michael Pilardi, great punter, and Graham Gano has also been doing it for a long time. DJ Moore is a good punt returner, not so much kick returner, but I had to try to pick a returner out of the name, so I went with DJ Moore.
I like it.
We skipped one of mine, otherwise I'm still good. So
I am gonna go with between 2, but I'm gonna go with the Jacksonville Jaguars here.
There you go.
Logan Cook, Josh Lambo, Matt Orzech, D.D. Westbrook. Josh Lambo's a great kicker, big leg. D.D. Westbrook, pretty good returner. Overall, pretty solid year.
Logan Cook actually led the NFL last year in net average. So that's it's an underdog, but he's still young enough where we don't really know what we're gonna get out of Logan Cook. Could have been a fluke.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a great pick, and that actually was my 5. So now we're filled out.
Hey. Yeah, I had him down at 16, but for our number, what are we on, 11?
Yep.
I'm going to go with my number 9, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, the standout there is Jake Elliott. What did he have, a 60-plus yarder a year or 2 ago?
Yeah,
62, I think.
Yeah, one of the best kickers left on any of these lists. You got a couple guys who can beat him, but the rest of the room's pretty okay. But yeah, we're going with
all right, I'm going to go with the New York Giants. Aldrich Rosas is only his third year as a kicker, but he was a Pro Bowler, I think, 2 years ago for the NFC. Riley Dixon is probably an average, slightly below average punter, but Jabril Peppers, again, a little homer pick in me. I love him as a return man.
Yeah.
My next available, so I like it.
I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts here. Roberto Sanchez, Chase McLaughlin, Luke Rhodes, and Naeem Hines.
That is one I regret not moving up on my list, at least because I was battling on that one. And then when I finally put them on, I'm at 21, full disclosure. But when I saw them fall to 21 on my list, I'm like, okay, I gotta at some point try to move them up a little bit because I think they're better.
Yeah, Roberto Sanchez is pretty good. Naeem Hines is a good returner. Overall, good football player. I like watching him play.
No, that's a good special teams.
Yeah, so it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I must have not done enough research because I had him way down at 28.
Roberto Sanchez is definitely a really good punter. I don't know what Chase McLaughlin's young, so he didn't play every single game last year. But Naeem Hines obviously is a returner. That's a good pick. I say they probably fall anywhere between that probably 12 to 18 range in real life. So,
all right. Well, with my pick, I'm going to go with an NFC North team, but it is not our beloved Lions, even though they are after this team on my list.
Oh,
Green Bay Packers. As long as Crosby isn't at Ford Field, he's a good kicker. J.K. Scott's a good punter, so I think you got a solid. I mean, Mason Crosby seems to be kind of falling off a little bit. He had a good year last year, but maybe it's just because of that game in Ford Field where he missed 7 kicks or something ridiculous. But yeah, I still think he's good, and I think J.K. Scott has a big leg, so I'll go with them right there.
Okay, I am going to go with the Seattle Seahawks for my next one. And the reason behind that being Michael Dixon is a top 3 punter statistically, not only in net average, but also in yards per punt last year. Jason Myers, probably right around the average mark for a kicker. And then Tyler Lockett's been a really good punt returner too in the league.
Tyler Lockett's very good in the return game. I am going to go with the Detroit Lions here. Matt Prater, really good. Obviously, I think he's still probably one of the best kickers in the league. He's just enjoyable to watch. And I like Jamal Agnew a lot. I think he's fun. He's pretty explosive, pretty fun to watch in the return game. Sometimes I wish they could find a way to get the ball in his hands on offense, but
so you see that they're working him out as a wide receiver this year.
Yeah. That's an option. We'll see what happens.
And that's the only way he's going to save a roster spot, in my opinion, because they drafted Jason Huntley in the 6th round, who's receiving specialist running back. He's also extremely fast, and he has kick return experience in college.
They could even put DeAndre Swift back there, and it'd probably be no worse than Agnew. So yes, I think Agnew has a place on their NFL roster. I just don't know.
He's too athletic to not. He's very fast.
I really wish he was one of those cases where he had a breakout year, then a down year, and then he just returns kind of somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he'll get that shot because he was. I mean his Pro Bowl year, he was just.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Electric.
The return game. So,
I hadn't seen a Lions returner that good since Eddie Drummond.
Yeah. So I really wish he would go dip up, down, and then back to revert to the mean. But I don't know if he'll get that shot. I'm going to go with another NFC North team, and no, it is not Chicago. It is the Vikings.
Yep, they're my next one.
Yeah, they were probably.
Dan Bailey is really solid kicker. He can boot it. Britton Colquitt is a good punter. Amir Abdullah is shifty. He's getting older and older, and he doesn't play a ton. So I feel like he's aging faster. Some of those guys that are those in-between guys seem to just kind of age out quicker than others. And he has very small hands.
Oh, yeah. Don't remind me. So Barber, that's no excuse.
Yeah. Back when we were talking about, I think our running back and wide receiver rankings, we mentioned that. Small hands, it's one of those stupid NFL draft combine statistics, but it actually matters.
It does. For running back specifically, you want to be able to
on
that ball.
But he's still a shifty guy. I saw some kick returns last year where he made a couple guys miss and maybe got a few extra 10 yards out of the return that he shouldn't have gotten. But Yeah, I think they're right middle of the pack where we have them.
So yeah, the Lions obviously fell right to the middle here, but now the NFC North teams are falling off the board. I'm going to take a break because we know dang well that the Bears aren't anywhere near the top for special teams. But I'm going to go with the Washington Redskins here. Tress Way, top 5 punter. Dustin Hopkins, average kicker. Nick Sundberg was actually the long snapper for the NFC 2 years ago. And Steven Sims Jr. is a very solid return man as well.
I like it.
Cool.
Yeah, now this is getting kind of more difficult now.
Don't forget about the best player.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking.
You're my next team.
Yeah, I really they're probably mine too. We're gonna go with the Rams here. Johnny Hecker, I think he's awesome on fake punts, so that's pretty cool to see. And then Greg Dortch is really kind of. I remember he played at Wake Forest in college.
Yep.
And he could fly, just crazy fast receiver. So I'm sure he's gonna end up being a pretty solid return guy. Other than that, I mean, Jake McQuaid, Sam Sloman, nothing special.
Yeah, so Jake McQuaid's a pretty good long snapper, but Sam Sloman, they don't even know if he's really going to be their kicker this year. This is just some guy that, is probably a camp body on most teams, but they do not have a kicker right now.
They don't have a lot of anything. That's going to be a bad football team this year, in my opinion.
Johnny Hecker is the only thing that puts, obviously, he's such an elite punter that, like, every year he's like an NFC punter that, like, he puts them at even after the midway point at 19. So that says a lot of how their football team is going to be in general this year.
I should play my quarterback.
He's going to be punting a lot with how bad that team is.
He should.
All right, next I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins. Matt Hack is an above-average punter. Jason Sanders is an above-average kicker. Jakeem Grant is quick.
Rutgers, yep.
He's been all right in the return game for the Dolphins, but, just kind of second half of the rankings, they're just kind of in that. I mean, they're high teens, low 20s. That's where they belong.
Yep. So I am going to go with
Do
it. No, I am going to play the guy that went to the same college and university and high school as he is in the NFL. He's a good punter. He's a power league punter. It's Kevin Huber. Went to Cincinnati Archbishop, and then he went to Cincinnati University to play for the Bearcats, and now he's in the Cincinnati Bengals.
Hey.
So he's gotten to stay home, and he's definitely he's a huge leg punter. Randy Bullock is kind of a chub, but he's
all right.
And Alex Erickson is a shifty little white guy receiver that does a pretty good job. So,
all right. Let's see here. I am gonna go with the Chargers here.
Hey,
my next
Tywan, Michael Badgley, Cole Mazza, Desmond King. Michael Badgley's pretty solid. Desmond King was a pretty good returner in college. I don't see why he can't translate that to the NFL. I think he's kind of up and coming overall. I think he's going to be a pretty good defensive back this year too. So we're all not a bad group.
Yeah, was that all of our next one? That was my next one.
Yeah. I was debating back and forth between a couple, but yeah.
So 19 of the 22 have been picked in a row. My top 19 is completely off.
I'd be doing pretty good if I didn't have the Colts so low, but my next pick available is my number 20, and that is the Tampa Bay Bucks. Brad Pinien's pretty good. Matt Gay's pretty good. And then you have Dare Ogunbowale.
Dare Ogunbowale.
Yeah, just a solid name. So how can he be a bad returner?
Yeah, no kidding. Usually I love those pronunciations, but I just made a fool of myself on live television. So
well, here we are.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna go with the Arizona Cardinals for my next one. Andy Lee, very long time punter. I think he was in Madden 2004 for the San Francisco 49ers. So
that's a while.
That says a lot. Madden 2004. He was on the old Michael Vick game, and then Zane Gonzalez spent some time with the Browns as an early on kicker, and now with the Cardinals. And then Andy Isabella. I love his speed. So great. He has great return potential.
Yeah, Cardinals a little lower because I remember Zane Gonzalez as being bad.
Yeah, I know. We remember
No,
those games.
he missed a few big kicks.
He did very well last year, though. He did kind of reinvent himself.
He came back a little bit.
So I tried to account for both. Like, he sucked with the Browns, but he had a good year last year at the Cardinals, so let's see what happens.
I just remember when everybody was tweeting at him to, like, when he missed those kicks with the Browns. It was,
Yeah.
It was horrible. And the funny thing is, the pitching coach for the Growlers, his name at the time was Zane Gonzalez.
Oh, yeah.
Gonzalez. So he was getting added by all these people, and he's like, guys, come on, like, I'm just a pitching coach. Like, that's not a big deal. Stop.
It's like Jim Costa from Big Drew and Jim gets tweeted at for being Jim Acosta by people that hate Jim Acosta.
Yep, that one's good. I don't know anymore. We can go with I'm gonna go with
Pick him.
Huh.
Pick him. Pick him.
Do it.
I'm gonna go with the Bears.
Ooh, what? That's not what I was talking about.
No, that's not who you're talking about. But that's what I'm going with.
All right.
O'Donnell, Eddie Pinheiro, Patrick Scales, Cordell Patterson. Cordell Patterson is still an explosive.
Yeah.
That's all he can do, but he's still explosive. Everybody else on that team, not very great. Everybody else.
Pat O'Donnell's a good punter, but
Pat O'Donnell's fine.
Eddie Pinheiro and Patrick Scales. I mean, Patrick Scales. Who cares?
I think Pinheiro's got a big leg, but he's just. I mean, he's not like Cody
Inconsistent.
Parkey level
Yeah.
bad, but that's not that bad of a special teams outfit. Cordell Patterson does bring them up.
I know. I remember Cordell Patterson being 30 years old, so I don't know what I.
Well, yeah, we'll see how much he actually brings to the table.
I was thinking I think you were gonna pick who I thought you were gonna pick, but I'll get to if Isaiah doesn't take him.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
Young Hoku's a decent replacement for Matt Bryant.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
The 20-year veteran. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Brian Hill too. He's a little speedy guy. Don't really know the other two guys, but I remember I wish Matt Bryant was still there. I remember when they played the Lions a couple years ago.
Got to be like 48 though.
Yeah. It was the Matt Bowl. It was Matt Prater, Matt Bryant, Matt Stafford.
Matt Ryan. Yeah.
Yep. And then Matt Patricia.
Oh, yeah.
Like all the Matts.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm going to pick – well, I was pointing at Ben to pick the Buffalo Bills. They are my next.
That's my next.
Yeah, here we go.
I mean, Corey Borges, Steven Hauschka is down now their kicker instead of Kari Vedvik.
Uh-huh.
So they brought Hauschka back because Vedvik had some other issues. Reed Ferguson's a solid long snapper. And then Andre Roberts has always been he's been a Pro Bowl returner twice.
Yep.
So.
Not bad. Not bad. I'm going to go with the Patriots here.
Hey, that's my next.
Jake Bailey, Justin Rohrwasser, Joe Cardona, Julian Edelman. I mean, Rohrwasser's pretty unproven, obviously, but I think Julian Edelman's still a pretty solid returner.
He's a proven racist. Rohrwasser is a proven racist.
Yeah, well,
1% tattoo that the left made him get rid of.
Yes, they did. And then Julian Edelman, I mean, he's solid. He doesn't hurt him. He's definitely a plus back there, returning punts especially. And then, I mean, I don't even know who's returning kicks for them now. It's probably somebody else every other game. So.
Yeah.
All right, next I'm going to go with the Jets purely off name power. Braden Mann, Sam Ficken, Thomas Hennessy, and Braxton Berrios.
Well, you're being literal with manpower because Braden Mann was the punter that had like 30 bench reps at the combine for a punt.
Right, yeah.
He did.
Heck yeah. But yeah, I mean, just like those are some solid names.
Not bad, not bad.
So
Sam Ficken kicked at Penn State.
You can't let them go into the 30s with those type of names. So
other than Sam Ficken was statistically the worst kicker last year.
Yeah,
dude, his name's Ficken, dude. Then you get it's so easy for Jets fans.
Freaking Ficken, man.
Dude, it's so easy for Jets fans to just curse at him then. It's like
it is.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with my next one here. Tennessee Titans.
All right, yep, they were my next.
They were my 32.
Oh wow.
They're not good.
Brett Kern's actually a pretty good punter. Greg Joseph, again, he spent some time with the Browns when they were going through Zane Gonzalez and Greg Joseph, and now he's on the Titans. Bo Brinkley's been snapping for a long time. Khalif Raymond is fast. You think he's like a 96 speed in Madden, but he's not very good. So kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
He's fast, but he's not good.
Nope.
All right. We down
Ben,
to.
I'm gonna guess that you're gonna pick the Raiders.
Yeah, that was next. Yep, the Raiders. They're pretty bad. And that's all really I have to say about them. Who's even the? Let's see here. Yeah, AJ Cole.
Jalen Richard.
Let's see.
Hey,
Jalen
Jalen.
Richard. Richard's all right. Jalen Richard's all right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go with the Browns, who's left. A bunch of guys I don't know. I feel like I recognize Austin Siebert.
Austin Siebert? Yeah.
Siebert, whatever, man. I feel like I recognize that. Don't know anybody else. Don't really care to know anybody else. I don't think I'll be hearing their names again.
But Jamie Gillian is from Scotland. He's a Scottish punter.
Oh,
That's cool.
So, and then, yeah, everyone, Charlie Hewlett and Tavir Thomas, not anything. So they kind of fell where they should have. I like that final pick.
if any of you on the Browns special teams are watching, I challenge you to be better than number 32 this year.
Yeah, because they're pretty good, actually, overall. I sent you the rankings for our player rankings beforehand.
Yeah.
Their coach obviously brings them down, and if I start adding special teams, that'll put them down to where they should be more. But offensively, they probably have top 5 firepower offensively if they can.
Depends on how Baker plays.
Yeah, it is going to be huge on Baker. But
Yeah, and if Odell slaps him around too much.
yeah, so this is the exciting point of our show that we wanted to wait an extra day to take care of. A lot of stuff and a lot of work we put into kind of coming up with scouting reports and previews for these upcoming NFL, MLB, and NHL seasons. So, Isaiah, you can take it away with the NBA, man. You did a ton of scouting reports on this one.
Right, yeah, I know. I have a 10-page report because I was really bored at the end of last week. It was a slow week in school and work. So, but yeah, just to start it off, they are starting on July 30, so 15 days from now. They are all already, I believe everyone has reported the bubble in Disney World. So it's Disney World Orlando. I think they have 3 facilities, 3 courts to be able to use. I don't know what the schedule looks like yet, like when teams are playing, but I think they're going to do 2 to 3 games a day. There's 22 teams, 13 in the West, 9 in the East. Each team's going to play 2 to 3 exhibition games that mean absolutely nothing to kind of just get back up to speed. Then 8 technically like regular season games. I think some teams have played more games than other teams. I think they're just going to try to get everybody up to the same number of games played. So maybe not every single team will play 8 regular season games that count for the standings, but I think they're going to try to get everybody to the same number of games. So they have those games to kind of change seeding around. And so any team, so there's 22 teams, only 16 make the playoffs. So there's 6 teams that are technically not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. There's really only a couple that matter, which we'll get to. But so they have a chance to make up ground on some of those worst teams, the 7, 8 seeds in the league. Make it to the playoffs and end up playing in the playoffs. And then there were some rumors that it'd be a 1 through 16 seed since they're all in the same area. That's 1 would play 16 and so forth instead of East versus West, but they are going to go with East versus West. If someone contracts coronavirus, they will not stop playing. They will just have to do a minimum 7-day quarantine. And then at the end of the regular season games, they will do an 8-9 seed like king of the court, if you played tennis as a kid, play in within 4 games. So if the 8 and 9 seed are within 4 games of each other, they will do a play in where the 8 seed has to only win once, but the 9 seed has to win twice. I don't know what they'll do if 2 teams are within 4 games, if they'll just use tiebreakers, or if all 3 of those teams will play like a round robin. But I don't think so. So yeah.
What if I don't know if there's any even talk about this, but what if somehow 2 or 3 guys on a team got coronavirus at the same time? Are they calling up guys from G Leagues or D Leagues or something and just run?
They are already starting. Like the NBA's been pretty free with teams signing random people. So like J.R. Smith just got signed, and he was not on the team all year because a couple of the Lakers players either couldn't go or wouldn't go. So they've been pretty free with you can just sign a guy to come. I don't know how that's going to be when play actually starts. So each team has about 14, 15 guys normally.
Mm-hmm.
In the playoffs, you really only play 9. If it's a competitive game, or like once the rounds get farther, you might be down to an 8-man rotation. So hopefully, if you get 2 or 3 or 4 guys out, you still have 10 to roll with. Obviously, if it's your top guys like your LeBron James and Anthony Davis get out, the Lakers are going to get crushed. But I don't know how that's going to play. I think if that happens enough, there's going to be a massive asterisk next to whoever wins the championship. But yeah, so quick run through of the teams really quickly. In the East, 1 through the teams that are, so there's 9 teams, so going 1 through 9. Milwaukee Bucks, Toronto Raptors, Boston Celtics, Miami Heat, that's your top 4. Then you have Pacers, 76ers, Brooklyn Nets, Orlando Magic, Washington Wizards. So yeah, that's your East. Obviously the story this season is the Bucks domination. They were on pace for over 60 games. Giannis is going to be the MVP and should be the defensive player of the year. And they just have an incredible cast. Biggest point differential in the league. One of the best offenses. I think the best team defense, top 3 team defense at least. They've been getting more production from everybody rather than just relying on Giannis. So that's the big story. To me, they're the only real championship contender from the East. I think the Raptors and the Celtics have a chance to upset them in the conference final, and the Heat are a really bad matchup for the Bucks, but I don't think anybody else is going to pose a threat. I mean, yeah. And then the Washington Wizards with the bubble, they're 6 games out, but the Brooklyn Nets have like almost 6 guys not playing this year in the bubble. So I could see the Washington Wizards making that up if the Nets suck. But yeah, in the East, I really don't think it's anything other than Milwaukee getting over the hump or one of these other teams going on a really big run. So yeah, that's kind of what the East looks like for me. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I think it is probably will be the Bucks. The Celtics, obviously, I'm pretty high on them, even above the Raptors at this point. With the Raptors losing Kawhi, it's like I don't really know what we'll expect out of it. They still obviously have some playmakers and they can survive, but I just think he was such a difference maker for them. But I think the Bucks probably take the East, and then maybe the Celtics give them a run in the Eastern Championship game. But I think the West is going to come away with the championship no matter what.
Yeah, I wouldn't count out the Heat though. I really wouldn't. I would agree with what you said. They're a bad matchup for the Bucks just with their shooting, so I would not count them out. But yeah, I think the Bucks have too much firepower to get knocked off there.
And I think the Raptors and the Celtics both have a similar problem of who can their number one option step up offensively. So in the Raptors, you have Pascal Siakam, who kind of took over at least a lot of the scoring load for Kawhi. The thing with Kawhi last year, he was on load management during the regular season, but he stepped up in the playoffs. Like Kawhi, if they needed a bucket, when they were trying to come back against the Bucks, it was Kawhi. I don't think Pascal Siakam is there yet. He's taken a big step, but I don't think he's there yet. Kyle Lowry when you ask Kyle Lowry to be the number one scoring option, he's not playing his game. He has to be a 15 to 20 point scorer getting 10 assists. Like that's his game, letting someone else. He's the Chris Paul. He's the initiator. He is just a worse Chris Paul. So I really think the Boston Celtics are the biggest threat to the Bucks. But the same question, like, can Jason Tatum take over? Can he just take a series, grab it by the haunches, and just be like, I am going to score 30 to 40 points a game? I don't know if he can, but he, out of anybody on any team, is the best option. But I think it's those top 3 teams, and you can throw the Heat in there at number 4. But obviously the big story is Philly. They should have been better than they are, but Embiid and Simmons just can't play together. And I don't like the biggest thing with the 76ers, it's a quick anecdote, but they are awful on the road. They were like 6th worst in the league. They were 10-24 on the road, 29-2 at home. So if they need their home crowd to play good, there's no crowd in Orlando. So they're just going to be, if that's what it is, they need a crowd to get behind them, then they're dead on So, yeah, with the West, we have both LA teams at the top. It's the Lakers and the Clippers. Then you have the Denver Nuggets, the Utah Jazz, who are a mess right now. The Oklahoma City Thunder at the 5 seed, the Rockets at the 6. Then you have the Mavericks and the Grizzlies rounding out the top 8. Then really the only teams in my mind that you have to know about in the bubble, you have the Suns and the Spurs down there a few games back, but it's really a race between Portland, Pelicans, and the Kings for that number 9 seed to play in that play-in tournament. They're within 4 games, all 3 of them right now. They're tied. But I think the Portland Trailblazers and the Pelicans in those 8, 7, 6 games that they have to play to make up is going to be – it's going to make – once the NBA comes back, everyone's going to be watching it just for that. It is to see if one of those teams can edge out the Grizzlies or get into that playoff tournament. The Trailblazers are returning some healthy guys. Nurkic is back after missing all season. He's an all-star caliber player. And then the Pelicans, they are like the losers of the bubble or the stoppage because they had the easiest schedule in the league left, and they were really coming up on the Grizzlies. They made up they made up 3 or 4 games in the last 2 weeks of the season. But yeah, again, like we said, I don't think it's anybody else. Like that race for the 8 and 7 seed is going to be incredible, but I don't think it's anybody but the Clippers or the Clippers and the Lakers, the LA teams. I don't think you have to worry about anybody but those 2 teams.
Yeah, I would rank the Clippers and Lakers both ahead of the Eastern Championship, the Bucks. So
yeah.
I think the West is coming away with the championship this year. And obviously I'm more excited, I think, about the Western Conference Championship game between possibly the Clippers and Lakers than the Milwaukee Bucks playing the Lakers or Clippers or something. But I'm pretty certain those will probably be it's probably the championship game.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I think the Bucks could benefit if it is LA versus LA in the Western Conference final, and they look to be going 7 games if that happens. If they just beat the heck out of each other, at the end of it, they are worn out, and the Bucks are rested because they had an easy conference finals versus whoever it may be. Then I think the Bucks could come in hot and steal the first couple games from them, and then you got to win. Yeah, you got to win 2 out of 5 after that, and that's pretty simple with Giannis on your team. But I think if we'll go with it to wrap up, one, I just do want to mention the Jazz. I think they're hilarious because they kind of started this whole thing, and there's reports that they just their top 2 guys, Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, hate each other right now.
Yeah.
It's neither of them have personally said it to anybody, but because I think they're trying to stick together till this is all over with. But I just want to see.
Rudy just didn't care.
Yeah, I know.
At the beginning,
I just want to see if they come out not giving a crap and just blow people up, or if they are just terrible. I don't know what's going to happen. I think they're going to be terrible, but yeah, if I had to rank my teams for best probability to win the championship, and I want to hear from you guys too, I think the Clippers are number 1. Then I think it's the Lakers, and then I think it's the Bucks. Why I picked the Clippers top over the Lakers is just their depth. The Lakers, like I said, they got J.R. Smith in there, who hasn't played basketball all year. They really start to bottom out when you round up to those 8, 9, 10 guys. So if they have someone go down with coronavirus or just an injury in general coming back from a few months off, they lose a huge amount. I think LeBron James and Anthony Davis are going to play. If they get coronavirus, I don't think they're going to tell anyone. I think they're just going to play. But
They're screwed if they don't play. So that's why I said just Anthony Davis has his health issues he's had in the last couple of years, and LeBron James, I mean, age is some point going to catch up to him. Obviously, he's still playing at a high level, but I do like the Clippers with just a lot of, now that they have Kawhi and stuff, who they have a couple guys that seem like they could take over the game if necessary to put the points they need up.
They have 4 guys to get a bucket from when they need a bucket, and the Lakers only have 2. Maybe Danny Green, you could throw him in there on a solid, a good day, but the Clippers have Kawhi, they have Paul George, they have Lou Williams, who are just outright scorers. Landry Shamet can fill it up. Montrezl Harrell's a beast. Patrick Beverly on the defense. Like they just.
I think it's just going to be really interesting to see, who really. I don't think anybody's going to not care, but like what guys really care enough to come back and like compete for a championship. Like what guys are taking it seriously without the crowd there, without the. Without like the normal flow of everything. You've had all this time off. Not that they haven't been doing anything, because I'm sure most guys have still been doing stuff. But who really wants to be there because they love to play basketball? Because that's really what it comes down to for any of these sports. Football, basketball, baseball. Like you're not going to play if you don't. Other than the obviously the underlying health conditions and stuff like that. But if you're able to play and you're not really there, you're playing right now because you want to play and you love to play. Because anybody could take it off right now and nobody would think twice. So
yeah, I think you'll have, like, especially in the West, I think you'll have some of those bottom teams competing pretty hard, like the Mavericks, the Grizzlies, and then either the Pelicans or the Trailblazers, if they make the 8 seed, just because Portland's trying to prove something because Dame just won't stay down. But those other teams, you got Luka Doncic on the Mavericks.
I was going to say, that's why I'm high on the Mavericks, actually. I like Luka Doncic. I feel like he's only going to get better.
Yeah, but you got the Pelicans, the Mavericks, and the Grizzlies all have young, hungry talent, and I don't think they're going to stop. Like, I think they take a game or two from those higher seeds. I mean, I know it's the LA teams and they're beasts, but just catching them sleeping. Like, they're going to be fighting for that 8 seed, and they're going to be riding that energy into the playoffs. I think they could take game 1 and then make a close game 2 from one of those LA teams. But yeah, I think that you will see, at least in my mind, more sweeps in the first round than on a normal playoffs, just because I think your Orlando Magic, your Brooklyn Nets, even your 76ers, some of these teams, if they get down 2-0, 3-0, they're just going to go home. Like, they're just going to be like, you know what? We're sick of this. We don't need to be in this bubble. We're not going to win. We're just done. I would hate to say that just because like these guys are athletes and they dedicate their life to this, but some of them might just be over it. I mean, you see that with guys just like the Brooklyn Nets. They have all these guys just not like refusing to go, even though it's not really for health concerns. A lot of it is, but some guys are just like, oh, I kind of have a nagging injury. I'm just going to stay home. Like they're already kind of saying, you know what? We're not making noise. Why would I go?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's some really good stuff. That's a great preview. I'm going to find a way to try to get that on the website because you did put a lot of work into that.
Yeah.
That's some really good stuff right there. Ben, you are the baseball expert around these parts. I like to say I dabble in baseball as well, but you've played minor league baseball, so I don't want to take that away from you.
Yeah, we can kind of just jump into it. MLB's coming back soon, really soon. I didn't even realize what day it was. So we've got about a week now. So that's going to be pretty cool. I'm actually really excited. It's going to be a 60-game season. All the teams right now, have been in, either spring training, whatever you want to call it, spring training 2.0, or all the teams are calling it summer camp. And most teams are doing all that at their actual home stadiums. One, because the more northern teams can do it now because it's warm, and 2, it's just going to make sure everybody's staying in the same spot with all the COVID concerns. So it's going to be really interesting with the 60-game season. They've expanded the rosters a little bit. They're going to start with a 30-man roster. After 2 weeks, it's going to have to go down to 28, and then after 4 weeks, they're going to reduce it down to 26. And then on the road, teams can designate 3 taxi squad players that they can take with them on the road. If they want to take 3 of those players, though, one of them does have to be a catcher. So a lot of that's just for health concerns, not killing guys after this time off, that sort of thing. So I imagine teams are going to probably take 2 pitchers and a catcher. That's just what they're more than likely going to do.
It's good to be stacked on pitchers, especially.
Yeah, I mean, you never know.
They're not going to pitch as long.
Exactly.
Prep. So.
So, I mean, you're not going to see very many complete games this year. You're not going to see that type of stuff from the pitchers. So it's going to be really interesting with 60 games. It's going to be different. It's going to be cool because it's going to remind me a little bit more of like a college baseball feel, or like just a short season feel where normally you got 162 games. If a team loses 4 or 5 in a row, I mean, it sucks, but it's not the end of the world middle of the season. Team loses 4 or 5 in a row now. That can be pretty damning if they actually have some playoff hopes. So it's going to be really cool. Teams have got to come out hot and stay hot and kind of ride that momentum at the beginning. So yeah, I mean, basically all I did was I picked my picks for AL and NL MVP, AL and NL Cy Young, and then my picks for each divisional divisions. I did not pick a World Series champion. We can talk about it kind of at the end, but
I bet you I could just kind of fish one. I didn't either.
Yeah, I mean, I have my favorites, and we can kind of talk about it at the end why I didn't, because I just think this season's kind of all going to be kind of crazy up in the air. Quick talking about the schedule. They're going to play 40 division games.
20 interleague.
20 interleague games. Yep. So
you also see the trade deadline is getting pushed back an exact month to August 30th.
August 31st.
And I think the other big thing to mention is now the National League has to have a designated hitter.
Yes.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I like that. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, I like designated hitters personally, but
I think we're kind of –
the National League has a bit of a disadvantage just because obviously they don't initially plan to have designated hitters. Their designated hitter is going to be a pinch hitter that they use to bring in the 6th inning for their starting pitcher. So, I don't know. I think the only other thing that I can really bring up about that is in extra innings on regular season games, they're going to put a runner at second base as well to start out. So they're just going to get a little head start. The pitcher's going to be starting not in the full windup, but in the slide. So
it's going to be really interesting to see the strategy behind that, because I've seen, just some wacko ideas, with people starting on, they're like, oh, what if your cleanup hitter? Because I think they have to put the last out on second base there. Mm-hmm. So do they pinch run for them? But then you may be able to, but then that guy's hitting fourth now, and then it's just going to be interesting to see how they do with all the strategy behind that. And then I think you're going to see a lot. If we get to extra innings, you're going to see a lot of teams just bunting that guy to third base right away. It's just depending on where they are in the lineup or whatnot. But yeah, we can kind of run through my picks. Let's just run through my picks for division winners first. I'll start with the AL East. I went with Yankees in first. Then I went Rays, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Orioles.
That's mine.
This was actually the easiest one for me to pick out of any division. Yankees and Rays are actually pretty close, but the Yankees, I definitely think they edge above them. Their star power is insane. Their lineup is probably the best lineup in baseball.
Red Sox have lost enough players where I don't think they're going to be pushing too hard for that. They're going to probably be the third. I think they're for sure shooing for the third spot, but
yes. The Blue Jays and Orioles are pretty bad. The Orioles might be the worst team in baseball.
I think they are this year. I think they will be this year.
Yeah. We can go AL Central. This is both AL and NL Central are going to be pretty hotly contested in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And we'll get to NL Central in a minute. I went Indians, and now this is a little homer in me because I'm a big White Sox fan, but I went Indians, White Sox, Twins, Tigers, Royals. Now, White Sox, Twins, real close. And there's the reason why I picked White Sox, both Twins. The Twins pitching staff is not that impressive to me, and they hit so many darn home runs last year. I just don't see them repeating that. Now, their lineup is dangerous. Their lineup is scary. But I think, honestly, all three of those teams probably finish right around just above or right around 500. So that's going to be a pretty interesting race. And that's one of those – the AL Central is one of those divisions where I really would not be surprised if even, the Tigers with their young pitching surprise some teams. I don't think they can last a full 60, and be really good, but I would not be surprised if they come out and, they'll win 5 or 6 in a row somehow. So it's really going to be interesting this year to see some of those really tight division races and see how they shake out. We lost Joe. Back to the AL West. AL West, Astros first, A's, Rangers, Angels, Mariners. I'm really not an Astros fan right now, but they're still the most talented team in that division. The A's are close, though. Matt Chapman's a beast. They're getting there. They're going to be really fun to watch this year. They were really fun to watch last year. Lots of home runs on that team. Then after that, Rangers pretty much a fall off after those top two. Angels, Mariners are pretty much in the dumps right now. Angels, obviously, in my opinion, probably have the best player in baseball.
Yeah, Mike Trout.
After Mike Trout.
Yeah, in a weird season, I would love Mike Trout obviously has shown he can't lead a team to a playoff over 160 games. I would love to see him do it over 60 games.
See, but that's the cool part about this season, and I'm gonna miss the long season because I think that's I love
more baseball better, right?
Yeah, more baseball better. That's just me being that guy. But the cool part about this season is you may have a guy like a Mike Trout or
Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper, a Matt Chapman for the A's, somebody like that, just a stud on a team that maybe isn't quite that good, but that just carries them for 60 games. I mean, the best players in the game, they have those 60, 40 to 60 game runs where they're just insane.
Well, I know what's the stat, the WAR stat, the wins above replacement. So like, if Mike Trout averages anywhere between like 23 to 28 of those every single year, so like that's quite a bit for one player to just take care of business like that.
Yes, it's absurd. Well, I mean, I think he has the highest WAR ever.
At least the last 6 years, it could be ever. Yes, they've started doing that as a stat.
Yeah,
I think of it a little bit like the bubble teams in the NBA. Like you have one of those teams, and like they're like the San Francisco Kings. I didn't really count them in. I know they're 3.5 games out, like other teams, but you could have just De'Aaron Fox say, you know what, 8 games, I'm gonna go as hard as I've ever gone, and he could get him into 9 seed playing for a play-in. Or I like that, like, or just whatever it is. Like that's why I didn't count out the Trailblazers. Damian Lillard could just, as much of a beast as he is, he can just say, you know what, I'm winning these 8 games for us. Yep. And I think Mike Trout has the chance to like call it West Coast bias, call it, or East Coast bias, call it whatever you want with Mike Trout of why more people don't know him or why he just doesn't have the team success. Like this is his year to like he can just take over a team and take over a season.
My problem with them though is their pitching staff is just horrendous. So
I know, like it's everywhere else they're just not good. But
no, they're not.
I just want Mike Trout to say, hey everybody, like you've been talking about how I can't win, just let I'm gonna win us 3 games this year. Like, and then the rest of the team can maybe pull off 5 to 10 out of the remaining 20. But I want Mike Trout to just say, I am winning us 40 games this year, like he does on most seasons. But instead of it being half of the season, it's 2/3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, you can finish your point. I was just saying I was gonna go through the National League at some point. I want to do my National League part.
Yeah. I mean, I was just gonna say there's gonna be a team like that this year. Whether it's because one guy took over and just, carried them on their back for 60 games or, there a lot of these teams with these rosters being a little different this year, they're going to bring up some young guys. Like the Tigers are going to bring up Casey Mize, right? I mean, he's probably going to pitch right away, very early. These young pitchers or these young position players that they bring up, I mean, a lot of what happens in baseball, is, okay, you bring up a young guy, he catches fire, right? And then the pitching staffs figure him out, right? And then, they figure out he can't hit a changeup, so then they kill him, right, until he makes an adjustment. That adjustment period is now not there anymore. It's shrunk, because what a lot of times happens is, a young guy comes up, he might kill it for 60 games, and it's like, oh my gosh, he's going to be, he's the next stud. And then, obviously he comes back down to earth when pitching staffs figure him out. Pitching staffs don't have that luxury this year. They don't have that time anymore. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with that, and what young guys come up and are really good. If like take he got hurt a little bit last year, but take like a Fernando Tatis for the Padres. I mean, he's going to be a star someday. But team him up with like Manny Machado out there, they could make a run. I don't think they're that good, but they could seriously make a run because of how much young talent they have and unproven talent. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what happens. There's also, converse that there might be a team that is veteran laden who, on paper might be a better baseball team that just doesn't come out of the gate as hot, and they might end up, not where they want to be at the end of this just because they just can't catch fire. So it'll be really interesting to see. Did you want to go through the NL?
Yeah, I'll do the NL, but Isaiah was going to say something real quick there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just right before we start the NL, I think that with another team I was thinking that with, and like they've been and just because they've been crapped on all off season, is the Boston Red Sox getting rid of some guys and calling so many up. Everyone's off on them, even though they've been like, obviously those guys are part of their success, but maybe it's just because I like Boston sports a lot. They're like my second city besides Detroit, but like you could have them just like you're saying, like it's easier to do this mentality of like we're going to prove everyone wrong, we're going to like block out the haters, we're going to do all this stuff for 60 games more than it is 162 games.
Yeah.
It's way easier to just say, hey guys, we're playing a third of a season, let's just put it all on the line for a third of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those type of teams that maybe lost some people this year, and people are counting out, like you're saying, could just make a move.
Yeah, that's why I put them at a perfect 30 for 30 this season, because I think they're going to have those games where they're going to really push with some of the veteran presence that they might have, or with some of the lost players that they still overcome, and I think they're also going to have those games where you really see them missing guys like Mookie Betts and stuff on that roster and lineup, and so I think that's where it kind of balances out their entire season. They fall somewhere around that 500 mark for me, but yeah, like you said, they're definitely a sleeper team to keep an eye on. All right, so I'm going to run through the National League here. NL East, kind of competitive there at the top. I think the Braves, Nationals, Mets, and then Phillies and Marlins at the bottom there. There's a lot of Jacob deGrom is in my pick probably for the NL Cy Young Award winner this year for me, and I think they're going to be a couple games above 500, and then I think the Braves and Nationals are going to battle it out for that top spot, and ultimately, I think they're both going to make the playoffs as a wild card team and division winner. So we'll see what happens there. And then Phillies, Bryce Harper still can't do it for him, I don't think, kind of like what Mike Trout is dealing with over with the Anaheim Angels. But we're going to go to the Central, and I think this is where it's the most competitive division in baseball this year. And I'm going to have the Cubs squeak it out, and they're my second team. Sorry for the other Chicago Southsiders there, Ben, but I've always had a soft spot for the Cubs. And then I think the Brewers and Cardinals and Reds are going to be like right up on them the entire season. And the Reds, they have guys like Luis Castillo at pitcher, and then they have Trevor Bauer this year now too. So I think they've got a couple really good pitchers there. Cubs get Yu Darvish, so we'll see how he performs. But there's a lot of really solid pitchers in that division. Same with Strasburg and Scherzer for the Nationals. There's a bunch of guys there that are going to really be they might be calling a couple of those guys in every 4 games to do 5 innings or 6 innings like we talked about. They're not going to be doing complete games this season, but if they got to pitch them every 4 outings instead of 5, and they're going to probably try to do that. I think the Pirates are the obvious last place choice there. I don't see a whole lot of talent on that roster, but I think those other 4 teams in the NL Central are going to be.
But again, the Pirates have a lot of young talent. So, I just would not be surprised. That's probably, like you said, the most hotly contested division in baseball. I had the Brewers just above the Cubs, but, it's close. It's really close. And they're honestly Brewers, Cubs, Cardinals, Reds. I wouldn't be surprised if the Reds won the division, though. It would not surprise me at all, just because all 4 of those teams are very solid.
Yeah, I just the Reds could do a little better on the lineup part, but I think they're pitching.
Aquino is a beast. I'm telling you, that dude is going to hit a lot of home runs this year.
Well, higher on Aquino than me, but yeah, I think Bauer was a good pickup for them.
Yes.
And then I just like you said, man. The Braves are okay with Soroka, and then they've got like Freddie Freeman and Acuna on the offense.
He's probably young.
But I think the reason the Brewers could make a push single-handedly is one of the best players in baseball is Christian Yelich, and they get him from the Marlins.
Yep.
So we'll see if that makes a big difference in the final push for that division. The NL West, I think the best team, in my pick for the best regular season record is going to be the Los Angeles Dodgers. I like that team up and down with like Walker Buehler, a guy that a lot of people don't know, but they already have Kershaw on that starting rotation, and then Bellinger. And Mookie Betts now they get from the Red Sox. So Dodgers look stacked up and down. I think the Padres are going to be a little underrated, but I'm going to put them number 2 in the division. Diamondbacks, Rockies, and Giants last. But I don't know. The bottom half is going to be competitive, but I don't think no one cares. But
yeah, the Dodgers are probably on paper the best team in baseball.
Mhm.
Yankees are probably close.
Yeah.
But I mean, they reloaded and they got better. I think this offseason. And Walker Buehler has another year under his belt. He's probably, probably not this year, but he's probably a Cy Young contender coming soon. I mean, his stuff is absurd.
yeah,
So the other thing to think about is with these expanded rosters, I just, that'll probably help mitigate it a little bit. But some of these teams, depends on how healthy they can stay. Because this spring training, this summer camp thing is just not the same as. They played probably They probably got through 2-3 weeks. They probably got 3 weeks into spring training before everything really got shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of guys, especially if they made the playoffs last year, a lot of guys need that time because they play well into October, and they need that time to, kind of ramp up. And, some of them ramped up and then they had to just shut it right down again. So it really depends on, the health of some of these guys, how much some of these veteran guys especially are going to be able to give them. I think the MLB as a whole this year is going to be kind of, maybe not run by, but kind of, owned by some of these young, talented players because they've got, they don't have the wear and tear on their bodies that these older guys have. And it's just going to be really cool to see some of these young guys get their shot because I think on some of these teams that maybe aren't quite to the level of, the Yankees or the Dodgers or whatever, they're going to have those young guys up because who cares? If they don't make the playoffs, they weren't going to make playoffs anyway in a 162-game season. So why not roll it all out there, get your best talent on the field and see what happens? So,
yeah. I think, to me, when it comes to this whole season and, if we get into, World Series picks, it's, I'll be boring, but it's the Dodgers. If they're ever going to do it, it needs to be this year.
Yeah.
They've been so close so many years, and they ran into hot teams. They ran into Clayton Kershaw in the playoffs. If they're ever going to put it together, it's this year. Otherwise, I'm out on them forever.
If at that point.
Yeah, we'll get to the NHL, but they're the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's you are the favorite so often, and you play so amazing in the regular season, and you have so many tools, yet you just can't do it. And I'm picking them to win the World Series just because
they have to. Yeah,
that's got to be that's the feeling in the locker room, or it should be that you have to win this year.
Well, they've had an absurd payroll the last couple of years now, so at some point their owners can be like, all right, I can't do this anymore. I know there's really no limit on that stuff, but it's the same thing Illich did with the Tigers. He put in a ton of money for 3 or 4 years, and they still couldn't get it done. And then finally, he's like, "All right, rebuild."
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's get to the World Series picks, the MVP picks, and Cy Young Award for each division. First, who do you think the World Series matchup is going to be?
I know I talked about all these up and coming teams, how anything could happen, but it's still probably going to be Dodgers Yankees.
Yeah, to me they're the best in both divisions. It's just if they can hold it all the way through and they don't hit any team that's crazy hot. The A's could be a sleeper for me. I just think led by Matt Chapman and stuff. Maybe it's one of those guys that can carry them through or something, or hit them when the A's pitching is always pretty hot. It seems like their bullpen's always been reliable. But we'll see if that holds up the whole season. So I agree. I actually would go Dodgers Yankees as well for now.
The scary thing for me, just because I do not want to see the Astros in the World Series. I don't want to see it at all.
It's gonna happen.
But they're good. They're very good. That would frustrate so many people.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it gave people enough time to calm down. We're not going to get beaned so much because I know we were talking in March.
Tell you what, COVID saved the Astros because those dudes are about to be bruised and battered for the first couple weeks.
COVID saved anybody, it's the Astros.
I remember talking about so much how I think the Astros made COVID happen. I think they're behind their conspiracy.
Hey, they needed it. No fans. Nobody's going to be booing them.
Yep. They gave everyone time to breathe and calm down about it. And I remember all I heard in February and March, beginning of March, was Astros better watch out. They're going to get beamed every other play. And I think gave everyone.
Well, there's still guys that are coming out and just saying, I'm just going to dome them. They don't.
Yeah. Well, so I'll go with my World Series prediction. I'll say the A's instead of the Yankees. Just to be different. But I still, we talked about this team that everyone's not looking at, or the Angels or the Red Sox, or whoever could be really good just for 60 games. Or the Yankees, the A's, the Dodgers could just say, hey, we're the best team in baseball. Let's be the best team in baseball for 60 games. Because I think with some of those high-end teams, when you play 162 games, they take a week off. They take a series off. They just kind of they would never admit it, but they do. But I think in 60 games, the Dodgers might just say, hey, let's just be amazing because it's only for a shortened series. So I do think it'll be the Dodgers, Yankees. I know that's the boring pick, but I'll just go with the A's just because.
Yeah, I mean, the A's aren't really bad anywhere. They're just a lot of average, and then you get Matt Chapman. Like, I think that's kind of what kind of separates that. But I mean, the Rays, you got to look at them too, with like Blake Snell and Tyler Glass now in pitching.
Yep.
So there's certain things to look at where if you have enough star power still, maybe they can do enough damage.
The other thing to look at is some of these guys wear down over the course of 162 games. Like some of these pitchers, especially some of these young guys that haven't pitched through that 162 game season. So, now they're going to be like, all right, I got 60 games. Like I'll be all right. Like I've done this. Like they've done that in college. They've done that in high school. Like they've done that before. So it's going to be really, really cool to see, some of these teams. I don't think there's going to be that wear down effect as much, unless a guy gets COVID or unless a guy gets.
Veterans are going to come into play, and those guys sometimes it take a little while to gel back in and get ready because they also sit most of them during spring training. It's long spring trainings.
Yep.
So I think we're going to see these veterans are going to be hitting their stride right around that 45 to 60 game mark right into the playoffs. So maybe that's really a huge difference maker come playoffs.
For sure. How cool would it be though to see like some of these teams that probably don't think are going to make it, like in it right at the end. Like, oh crap, like they're 500. Like they might actually be. That's going to be a cool thing to see.
2 or 3 games within 5. If the Tigers are even like 27 wins this year, I'll be like, hey, sweet.
That's a win. That's a win for them.
Yeah.
I think my team to do that and maybe make a playoff run is the New York Mets. I feel like every season they have promise, and then in July or June they just start to crumble.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they could get to the playoffs before they start to crumble.
They probably have the best pitcher in the NL.
Yeah. So they're a terribly run organization, but like I think they could just like those teams that always do good and then they just fall off. I think some of them will avoid that in these 60 games, and I think that could be the Mets.
Wouldn't be surprised. No doubt.
Yeah, good stuff. Who's your AL MVP and NL MVP?
I had Trout. I went Trout and Yelich.
I went Yelich, and then Trout. I mean, yeah, Trout.
Dude, put me on the Juan Soto board for the Nationals.
Okay, I like it.
I'm gonna put Juan Soto for the Nationals, their outfielder, and then I'm gonna put Matt Chapman, third baseman for the A's, as the AL MVP. I think that'll especially ring true if he does somehow bring them through the playoffs. So
I think Trout sometimes right now runs into that LeBron James like syndrome thing where it's like he's so good that like oh great, LeBron James is gonna win another MVP. You know what I mean? It's like, and they're like, he's not even that good, and you look at it, he's like, no, he's like insanely good. It's just you're so used to it. That
it's Michael Jordan and Karl Malone. Like the year that won his MVP, like it should have been Michael Jordan. It just kind of people used to it.
Yep, exactly. And it happened that a few years ago. I remember it was one of LeBron's years with the Heat, were like
with Derrick Rose.
Yeah, they're like, why is he's even being considered? Like a lot of people were saying that because he was just around a lot of good players that year. So it was like, oh, maybe he isn't standing out quite as much. But you looked at his stats and it was like, no, he's having as good or better than a season that he's ever had. You know what I mean? So
and then like
Trout runs into some of that. Yeah,
it was that Derrick Rose season. I mean, I love Derrick Rose, and like we talked about, like we'll talk about like what if scenarios. Like one of my biggest what ifs is if I could change anything, Derrick Rose not getting injured. But LeBron James should have won MVP that year. Just wasn't. Derrick Rose was just the new thing. It's the same with Russell Westbrook. He won the MVP for averaging a triple-double. He did it again the next year.
And didn't win.
Didn't win MVP. Like he was like top like number 4 or 5 in voting. And it's just, I think, Trout
runs into that, and he runs into that because he's on a bad team.
Yeah.
So,
and he's on the West.
No one gets to watch him at 10 p.m.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly. It's like the Christian McCaffrey thing with the Heisman Trophy. I thought Christian McCaffrey should have won the Heisman, but he played at Stanford. No one saw him play.
And that's racist. It was racist back then.
AL and NL Cy Young. Who are your picks?
AL Cy, I went with Mike Clevenger if he can actually stay healthy, which, again, going to 60 games might help him, might hurt him. We'll see. But Mike Clevenger, he's nasty. And he's such a max effort guy that if they're just going to go out and ask him, hey, Mike, go throw 6 innings. I mean, he could just be filthy for 6 innings. And then National League Cy Young, I went with Max Scherzer.
Okay. All right. I went with Jacob DeGrom for the Mets as an NL. And then I am going to go with Lucas Giolito for the White Sox for the AL.
Dude, I like that. That.
Yeah, I love his stuff, man. Giolito looks good to me. So.
I'm gonna go with the New York teams. I'm gonna go with Garrett Cole and Jacob DeGrom.
All right. Yeah, Garrett Cole definitely. I think he's the sexy pick there. But I think I was kind of trying to fish for another guy that's more like same with Juan Soto. I picked a guy that definitely has a lot of potential to do that. And same with a Giolito, a lot of potential to get the job done and pitch really well. But I was trying to fish for more of a sleeper pick on those. But
Giolito went from probably, I think he had the worst ERA 2 years ago of any like qualifying starting pitcher to, being, I think he was like 7th in Cy Young voting last year. So
yeah,
crazy.
I like his stuff. He's definitely coming to his own. So yeah, is there anything else you guys want to cover there with baseball? I think we covered NBA and baseball. I don't know if we want to do hockey or not.
You could do rookies of the year if you wanted to. But
yeah, I could do rookie of the year. I just think that's going to be – I did not do a whole lot of research on rookies. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, I mean – yeah, Casey Mize. You're going Casey Mize? I don't know. He could – I don't know how much they're actually going to put on him. That's my thing. He really could be. I like Luis Robert for the White Sox. Obviously, I'm tilted towards him, but he's I think he could be eventually a 30 home run, 30 steal guy. So 100 RBI guy.
I don't know enough about baseball rookies to make a choice, so I'm going to say Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander.
Let's put David Price and Rick Porcello in there too, huh?
There you go. That was a stupid rotation.
Anibal Sanchez was on that one too.
They should never have that.
That was one of my first when we did trivia.
Yeah.
Name 5 of the championship winning pitchers that were on the Tigers at the same time.
Hey, Ben's good at trivia. We could bring
Yet they didn't win the World Series, which makes they spent all that money and they did not win the World Series.
How you guys trivia?
We can quick talk about hockey a little bit.
Oh yeah. Say your Russian game. Sorry.
So hockey is just like, to me, it's the hardest one to predict, and it usually is every year, like just playoff wise, because if you get a goalie that, as they say, can stand on his playoff, like he can just win. They did that Jonathan Quick with the LA Kings. They were an 8 seed a few years ago, and Jonathan Quick just ruined everybody. And they had no right winning that championship. They had no right winning all those games and sweeping teams, but they did. So it's hard to pick NHL, but I mean, you kind of got like 5 or 6 teams at the top. You got the Bruins. You got like we were talking about earlier with the Dodgers. You got the Lightning, the Capitals. It could be their year once again. The Blues and the Avalanche are my other 2 of those top 5. Those are like the top 5 teams who I would actually put money on to anything. If I had to go with one, I would pick I'd pick the Blues to play the Bruins in the championship. But yeah, it's so hard to know just because, and especially with the like preview round where it's like, what do they have, like 24 teams and they're like randomly playing each other, and the 12 seed Chicago Blackhawks could just get hot and get in. Because they could, like Patrick Kane could just go off for a couple games and then they could get in and they could be the 8 seed and they could beat this team. Like it's like I didn't do a ton of research on the NHL, but it's hard to do it just because it's just an anomaly. The NHL is like
There's a lot of parity.
I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, a lot of parity.
It's gonna be the most I've ever watched it in years, though. Because just sports. I just need sports full flex.
So I'm just gonna say my team for that is the St. Louis Blues to repeat, because I don't know the last time a repeat has happened in the NHL. I think it was the Blackhawks. But yeah, I like the Blues.
I'll dig it.
I don't. I like the Red Wings, but there's zero chance they're going to win. So
No, they're
if
not.
there's one thing I can predict about the NHL this year, it is the Red Wings won't win the Stanley Cup.
Okay, so here, quick trivia question, just throwing it out there. The second worst team in the NHL has a negative 52 goal point differential. Ottawa Senators. Where do you think the Red Wings, they're last? How much lower do you think their point differential is? Last place or second to last place is 52.
14.
22.
Lower than 52.
22 lower.
22 lower. They are 122 negative. They are 70 goal differential lower than the second place team.
That is piss poor.
It's so bad, and they got like the 4th pick in the draft, and I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yep. They should have drafted Quinn Hughes.
We are going to talk about that at some point. We're going to talk about lottery picks and just
Good.
obliterate the thought of them. But
I have a lot to say.
yeah, so we're going to save that for another show. I want to run through these 10 players and see who can get the most in a row. Are you ready?
Yeah.
First one to say it wins. So go.
I can't even see, dude.
You got red pants.
Clinton Portis.
Win. All right. And all right, let's see this one.
Good. Alex Ovechkin.
Hey, Isaiah gets one.
Is that the Edgerrin James?
No.
Is that the Colts though?
It is the Colts.
Is he 25 or 29?
It's 29.
It's not Edgerrin James. That's an older card than Edgerrin James.
It is.
Hell.
Marlon Mack.
No.
That'd be newer. I'm gonna.
You went to LSU.
Adrian Peterson.
No.
Yes.
I don't know.
That's going to be a wash. I'll give you 3 seconds.
Joseph Adai?
Yes, Joseph Adai.
Cool.
All right, hockey, go. This is your chance, Isaiah.
Sorry, my fiance's talking to me. Is that a 93? Is that Thomas Holmstrom?
No.
It is a 93, though, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Gosh, how is that not? What? Brendan Shanahan? I don't know. That's not Brendan Shanahan.
No.
Johan Franzen.
Yep, Franzen.
Yeah.
I got him and Holmstrom mixed up. I think Holmstrom was 96, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct, I think. What? This is not going to – no, I have no idea.
Gosh, I know this guy. He has a thumb head. I don't know, though. I don't know. I can't really tell. What team is he playing for? Liverpool?
This is Manchester.
Manchester City?
Manchester United, but yeah.
United, whatever, man.
He was born in Liverpool.
Does he still – how old is this?
2007. He was good, though.
Dude, I know I can picture him, but I can't think of his name.
I don't know.
Wayne Rooney.
Wayne Rooney. Dude, come on.
Come on. You know, soccer wasn't
He's got a thumb head.
happen.
All right.
Dale Earnhardt.
Listen.
Dude, what?
What? Oh, man.
How
9.
old is this?
2006.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know NASCAR.
Initials are KK.
Casey Kane. Casey Kane.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, man, this one's going to be a tough one. Basketball.
Is that Richardson? Is that
Richard
John
Jefferson?
Starks?
Huh?
Richard
John
Jefferson?
Starks?
No.
Dude, is that – I don't know.
Initials are MB.
MB.
Oh, MB. Gosh, dude, I know this.
He was a guard.
Yeah.
Yep, I can tell. Yep, he's short. Dude,
Yep,
I know this.
Yep.
And I'm going to beat myself up. MB. Is his first name Marcus?
No, it's not Marcus Camby.
It's not Marcus. No.
Dude, I don't know.
I don't know.
Mike Bibby.
Mike
No,
Bibby,
Mike
dude.
Bibby. No way.
Oh, I wanted to say BB.
Throwback Thursday.
It is. It is. Mike
All
Bibby.
right.
Good point guard. Torrey Hunter. No. Yep.
Yep, it's Torrey Hunter.
I don't know baseball, my
All
guy.
right, and there's the second to last one.
Michael Phelps.
It's Phelps, and Isaiah got that one by a tad. And last one.
Roy Halladay.
Yep, Halliday's correct. All right, so final was
Halladay with the Blue Jays. R.I.P.
yep 5-3, but that was good. The only ones you guys didn't get was Wayne Rooney and Mike Bibby,
Yeah, I should have gotten Mike Bibby.
and Isaiah should have gotten Wayne Rooney. He knew Thumbhead.
I knew it. Oh,
That was good. It was a quick way to get trivia done at the end of the show. I dig it.
That was good.
sweet.
All right. I found a bill. I went through a big stack of all of them that you should know. You should know all of these guys, and we'll keep doing them.
So we got them coming whenever you want to do them. I like
Go
it.
for a quick 10, yeah.
All right.
All right, good stuff, guys. Once again, check out the Buskard group. I do not have their share page up, but I want to give a shout out to Brett Buskard and all of those, and Juanita Buskard there. And go buy a house through them and sell your house through them, and do it fast.
Now. Do it right now.
Fast. They got your back.
Do it right now.
All right, guys, we got your back next week. We will find a new thing to do for rankings, and we will have a new discussion or debate topic for you guys as well.
Heck yeah. It should be our last week without sports?
Yeah, that would be last week.
I mean, we've got golf on. Tiger Woods plays tomorrow. He's back. Tiger's back tomorrow.
Guess
Whatever. Bryson DeChambeau does steroids, and I don't watch golf.
I mean, he's pretty fun to watch, though. Come on.
I
Bryson's
know
fun
he
to watch right now. He's
does hit
nuts.
ding.
Yeah, he's hitting bombs. So.
Fine.
All right.
All right.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Peace
Sounds
out.
good. See ya.